Never stop reading the Bible. All right, let's jump right in. We're going to break down 3 really key chapters from an almost 2,000-year-old letter. And you know what? It tackles some surprisingly modern problems, like how do you manage a totally chaotic meeting? How do you defend a core belief when your own team starts to doubt it? And maybe most importantly, how do you turn all that talk into real-world action?
I mean, just try to picture it. That is exactly the situation the Apostle Paul was facing with the church in Corinth. This wasn't some abstract philosophy he was writing. Nope. It was a super practical guide for a community dealing with the kind of messy human problems that any modern manager or community organizer would recognize in a heartbeat. So, we're going to follow that guide in 3 parts. First up, we'll see how Paul tries to bring order to all that chaos. Then, we'll dive into how he defends the one core belief that holds the entire thing together. And finally, we'll look at how he pushes them to put that faith into actual practice. Okay, let's start with chapter 14. So the gatherings in Corinth had a major problem. Seriously, think of a Zoom call where everybody's talking at once, nobody's on mute, and there's no agenda. It was getting chaotic, super confusing, and it just wasn't helping anyone move forward together. This question right here, it gets to the absolute heart of the issue. You know, in any organization, whether it's a startup or just a local volunteer group, you always have this tension. The chaos in Corinth was really coming from a clash between 2 different spiritual gifts, and it was causing a total breakdown in communication. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's all about impact. On one side, you've got tongues, this kind of personal, mysterious speech that Paul says, hey, this mainly just benefits the individual speaking. But on the other side, you have prophecy, which he defines as clear, understandable teaching that actually builds up the entire community. His logic is just so simple and timeless. If nobody has a clue what you're saying, how can the group possibly get anything out of it? So his solution was basically to lay down some ground rules for productive collaboration. Rule 1. Everything you do in a group setting has to be for mutual strengthening. Rule 2, communication has got to be clear. And Rule 3, the meeting has to be orderly, not a confusing mess. The crucial point here is that, yeah, individual contributions are important, but they have to serve the group's collective understanding and progress. Now, let's move on to the next chapter, because things get even more intense. After tackling the rules for their meetings, Paul confronts a much deeper crisis, a direct challenge to the community's foundational belief, its whole reason for being. For us today, this might seem like a pretty niche debate, but for his audience, this idea was a massive cultural roadblock. It'd be like trying to convince a modern tech company that its original foundational code is just fundamentally broken. It literally threatened their entire identity. Just think about the cultural software, running in their minds at the time. You had Greek philosophy, which was the intellectual powerhouse of the day, teaching that the body was basically a prison that your soul needed to escape from. And at the same time, you had a really prominent Jewish sect, the Sadducees, who just flat out rejected the whole idea of resurrection. So you can imagine when Paul starts talking about a physical resurrection, a lot of people in his audience would have thought it was illogical, maybe even a little backwards. So how does he respond? It's actually brilliant. He doesn't just make some emotional plea, he builds this rock-solid, logical case. Step 1, he says, look, this isn't a myth. It's a historical event with hundreds of witnesses. Step 2, that event is the guarantee of your own future. And step 3, and this is the big one, he makes it the absolute foundation. He says that to deny this one belief is to make the entire enterprise completely meaningless. Okay, so after reestablishing order and defending this cornerstone belief, Paul moves to the final chapter. And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the mission statement gets translated into a concrete to-do list. And this is where Paul really shows he's not just a thinker, he's a leader. For him, belief and action are just 2 sides of the very same coin. It's the ultimate call to, walk the talk. Having your values written on a wall means absolutely nothing if they don't shape what you actually do day in and day out. And just look at this list. It's incredibly practical. He's like, okay, team, let's organize a fundraiser for our sister community in Jerusalem that's struggling. Then he sorts out travel plans. He sends personal greetings to keep morale high. It is all about mutual support and actually getting things done. And it's all anchored by that final command, stand firm in the mission you've just reaffirmed. This quote really just nails it, doesn't it? This letter isn't a theological textbook. It's an operational manual for a community. It's a playbook for how you turn those big foundational principles into on-the-ground reality, through your everyday actions and choices.
So when you put it all together, what we've really seen is a powerful three-part blueprint for any healthy group. First, you've got to establish clear rules of engagement so everyone can contribute. Second, you have to unify around a non-negotiable core mission. And third, you channel that unified belief into practical, coordinated action. Order, belief, and action.
And that really just leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The technology has changed, the cultures have changed, for sure. But the core challenges of building a healthy, unified, and active community, well, whether you're running a startup, a nonprofit, or even just an online forum, those challenges are more relevant than ever.
This explainer was based on source material from the Center Studio.